Hi everyone. Um, so oh my God, to the person who got like almost $100 off my course, you can thank my wife Alicia for that one, not my math. For once in my life, my dyscalculia did not fault me. It was her. So I hope you enjoy. I hope it was like I hope I hope you like it. I'm a little nervous. Just a little nervous, but thank you very much for taking a chance on my course. Um, and for anybody else that would love to purchase my lovely course, it's on sale for 97 bucks and I really would appreciate some feedback. Things you liked, things you didn't like, anything. So I can just improve and do better ones for the future. Because we're autistic, we like to get better and better. Anyways, today I don't think I've actually done an episode dedicated to driving. If I have, you can bring yep, you can brain my blame. That's what I was gonna say. You can blame my brain, actually. Um, I thought about talking about this today because today Alicia is doing one of her ketamine sessions. So that means that I have to drive her to and from and then go pick her up and bring her back. And I don't know, I have such a love-hate relationship with driving because sometimes I think that the drive is gonna go well, and then, like, sometimes it just doesn't, and so I thought I would just talk a little bit, just put it all into one episode because I know I've touched on driving here and there before, and I know a lot of us don't drive, and a lot of us do drive but don't like it. Um, and then if there's anybody out there that loves driving and you're autistic and it doesn't bother you whatsoever, can you please, like, let me know who you are? Because I would like to meet you. So I'm just gonna start at the beginning. Driving in Japan, I was born and raised there. My brother got to pretty much drive before me, and he's a year and a half younger. Because I apparently was like the bad kid or whatever, the bad child. So that was embarrassing to have my brother be able to drive before I could. And then when I was able to drive, it was as if they didn't trust me with the vehicles. Like I don't understand what my parents' deal was. I don't get it at all. Um, and it sucked because the oldest one is supposed to have the firsts for everything. Hello. And so I wasn't really taught very well anyways. Like I remember my mom took me to the driving class with a bunch of other people and like I took the test. It was like this 4 or 5 hour course. It was fucking boring as hell. Um, and then like I practiced for my license with the guy I worked with at the bakery. So I was like 17 and this dude was like in his like 30s, 40s, I don't know. And he happened to be a driving instructor in Japan and he was the one that could like sign off on people's licenses or whatever the fuck, saying like, "Hey, you did a good job. You can go get your license." He was that guy. And so my mom's like, "Can you just like drive her around and like show her how to do it?" Really know this dude. I didn't like him. He was a troublemaker at the bakery. I stayed away from him, but that was the one that she wanted me to learn from. Um, and I just remember like being so nervous in the car with this dude. And like I remember running a red light. This is on base driving, by the way. For anybody that's never lived on a military base, it's like at least the ones I've been at. Like I've been to like Massawa and Lakenheath in England, and they have 2 lanes. Last time I was at both of those places, 2 lanes, one going one way, one the other way, maybe some roundabouts. That's it. But to a 17-year-old who's never really driven a whole lot before, it's scary. And I ran a red light, and I remember he was like, "Hey!" Like the dude was a shitty fucking teacher. That was a bad experience. And I ended up moving like, when I went to the military, I was, like, 18, I turned 19 in basic training, and, like, my parents had never taught me how to put gas in the car. They never taught me, like, it's important to take care of your car and get oil changes. I didn't know none of that shit. And why wouldn't they have taught me that? I don't fucking get it. You don't think your kid needs to know these things before going off into the world? So I barely knew how to drive, and I had an overseas license, which was good for England, I think. Was it? Yeah, I think I just was able to transfer it once I got to England because it's like all the driving is like kind of the same. So I didn't really have to take any tests in England because it was all overseas driving. I was used to driving on the right-hand side anyways. But I remember the very first car I got, it was like half full of gas or something. And I remember like worrying, like, oh my God, how am I going to fill this car up when it gets low? Like, how do I use a gas pump? Like, it was so embarrassing. And so I was at work one day, and this new person I was training, um, which was weird because I was kind of new to the field too, like, I don't know. And I was like, "Hey, what are you doing after work?" And she's like, "Not much. Could you give me a ride back to my dorm?" And I'm like, "I sure can. Can you show me how to put gas in my car?" And her mouth dropped open, and I just will never forget that. She's like, "What?" God. I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know how to put gas in the car." She's like, "Why do you have a car if you don't know how to put gas in it?" I was like, "'Cause my parents suck." Um, 'Cause they suck. I remember like, "Oh, fuck these people for not teaching me this basic shit." So she taught me how to put gas in the car. Some person I barely knew. How's that? Um, and then because I was never taught about the importance of taking care of cars, all I knew is you had to bring it in once a year for like some checkup to get a new sticker, and then you're good to go for like another year. That's really all I knew. And so I went through about 4 cars in 5 years that I was there. And like one full year out of those five, I was in the fucking desert. You can't drive out there with like your car. Like, so I don't, I went through a few cars because they would go so long without getting an oil change and just break down. And then I would think this car's done. It's toast. Like, I gotta get rid of this. And then I would sell it and like not know that all I really had to do was like do an oil change and a bit of a tune up. And 4 cars later was when I found that out and it was too late. Um and back before there was like really cell phones, like they were just starting out. Um Not a whole lot of people had them. And so I remember driving home like after a night shift. It was like 6:37 in the morning on a Saturday because I remember the roads were clear and I lived off base at this point. So I was just trying to get, it was like a half-hour drive, I think, to Solom or Brandon I was going to. I lived in both of those places, but my car broke down. I was on the highway and I got off on a slip road and then it just kind of broke down and I had to get out of my car in my fucking uniform. And I remember like the people, the locals that lived closer to the base didn't really care for us Americans, and so I was kind of scared to just be standing on the side of the road waving for somebody to please come and help me, and I'm in my fucking uniform. Um, but thankfully some guy did. He was really nice, and that was like a whole thing that sucked. It just sucked. I swear, like the whole time, like half the time I was in the military, it was just like stressing about like my cars. Like, am I gonna break down when I get in this car? Like, I was so fucking clueless. And like, I think I had that from the friends that I made because they knew how to drive. They had lived in the States before. I was the only one in my group that was born and raised overseas, and so I just pretended like I didn't have any problems driving and, "Oh, haha, just kidding." I don't know. It was just I hid my shit because I knew that, like, I knew a bunch of nothing about this shit, and I didn't wanna be embarrassed. So I never told them that I didn't know how to take care of cars. They were just like, "Why do your cars keep breaking down?" Oh my god. And then I had such bad road rage. I should not have been driving. One time I was parking in the back of my friend's house and I drove like my car just right alongside the house. The whole side of the house I just drove on. Does that make sense? Like I was touching my car was touching the wall and I was just scraping my whole car on that house. And my friend was like, "Why didn't you just stop at the beginning instead of keep going through the rest of the house?" I'm like, "I don't fucking know. I don't know." And then like there were times where like they had a bunch of like pictures with speed cameras on. Um that like they were just pictures of speed cameras. I used to think those were the cameras. And it was like a good like year or two before somebody was finally like when they were driving with me, like, "Why do you keep slowing down at these things?" And I'm like, "Duh. Do you see the camera?" And they're like, "That's warning you that one's coming." So that explained the speeding tickets I would get in the mail. I'm like, you guys are fucking lying about those cameras. Like, I don't know what I was doing in my 20s. This is why things like this, I'm like, how did I get this far in life? And then so like, I did my 5 years in the military and then I got out and then I come to the States and I'm 23 at this time. And I don't know how to drive in the States. I need a license. I need a permit. I need to take the test. I need to act like I'm a 16-year-old in the States. So my parents, because at that point they were living in New York. I think they were living there for about a year. So they had left Japan about a year prior and had settled down in New York. And at 23 years old, they had to be the ones to teach me how to drive. And nothing came up about me being a teenager and them not doing this back then. Nothing of that sort came up. Shouldn't it have? Shouldn't it have? Like, I didn't even think to, like, say something to them, like, "Why didn't you guys just do this shit for me when I was, like, a kid?" Like, I would be way more familiar with, like, driving. Like, I would have had so many fewer problems, whatever. And so they helped me get my permit. I took the test, I got my license, and there's that. At 23 years old. Um, and then I learned how to take care of cars. That they need regular upkeep, oil changes, all kinds of shit. And like at one point I was going to like an hour to my 4-year college and back every day, like an hour there, an hour back, an hour there, an hour back. Like that's 10 trips a week just for that one college. And I remember having anxiety, but it didn't really bother me so much driving everywhere because I was in my 20s and I didn't know what anxiety was really. I didn't know I wasn't, like, consciously aware of, like, the perpetual fear that I was just, like, constantly living in, which is weird to say, and I don't even know if that makes sense. But, yeah, it didn't really bother me so much. I sucked it up. I didn't even think about it because I had been on my own for, like, a while at that point. I was like, I know what to do to make sure that, I'm good. Like, I don't know. With the college, I drove by myself to figure like to Albany. It was where the criminal justice college was. And I went there before I started just to feel out the layout, the parking lot, to see where my classes would be. I asked my mom if she would go with me because she was off that day, and she wouldn't. Fucking bitch. Like, all right, fine, I'll do it. Myself, Don't worry, don't try to make up for anything that you missed out on when I was growing up. That's okay. But so I went and I figured all that out on my own and it was so hard and I always had anxiety, but I never really was like that aware of the fact that I was just always fearful. And driving just added like a whole new level of fear that I guess I was kind of aware of, but not really. Does anybody know do you know what I mean? I hope so. And then then I'm getting older and I'm in my 30s now at this point and I started to notice that I got really anxious. Like my anxiety was noticeable when I was driving. And I was like, this is weird. And then I go through therapy and I start working on myself and I get to know myself a little bit better and I'm like, wow, I'm scared to drive. It just gives me so much anxiety all the time. Then I get married. Um, and then now Alicia just drives all the time, which is great. Like when we go places, she's the one driving, unless I'm picking her up from ketamine and taking her there. But every other place, she drives. I don't know where basic shit is. That's not even 10 minutes away because she takes us there. I don't pay attention. I only go to the same places I know how to go to. There are other places I would like to go to, but I'm too afraid to try by myself. And I'm just gonna admit that. And 20 years ago, um, I would have felt the same way, but I wouldn't have admitted it out loud I wouldn't have said that out loud. Now I just fucking I have a love-hate relationship with driving. What I love about it is I get to sing along to my favorite bands, crank the music up, and if there's no traffic and people are pretty much driving like they should be, it's peaceful. Very peaceful when there's no fucktards on the road to just irritate the fuck out of you. That's what I love about driving. Do you know what I don't like about driving? People don't use their fucking turn signals. I still won't get over that. I know I talked about that before. Do not get in the right lane to turn and then turn your turn signal on. I already fucking know you're there. That turn signal is supposed to be for me and maybe the people that, like, can see you coming or something, but, like, you turn the signal on and then you get into the lane. What the fuck is wrong with people? Most people do that. Fucking dumb. I hate it. I hate it. I don't know why this stupid shit shouldn't bother me. I should not let this bother me. But I don't understand, like, how do you not know how to use your turn signal the proper fucking way? It's like, "Oh, you're in the right lane, and oh, he turned on his turn signal. Oh, he's going right. Oh my god, no fucking duh, you dumb shit." Oops. And, like, people are always in a hurry to go nowhere. Yeah, okay, that used to be me when I had, like, traditional employment, but now I'm like, "Ah, I'll take my time." I really don't. I'm not in a hurry to go anywhere. Like, where do I have to be, you know? And so it's kind of funny watching people, like, we're in traffic and, like, it's always that fucking person that's, like, climbing, like, you see them coming on the, like, when you got the 2 lanes going the one way and 2 lanes going the other way, you're in the one that you need to be where everybody else wants to be, and there's that fast one, and people only really take that one. I don't even know if, like, this makes sense. It's the person that's, like, fucking coming up, trying to, like, pass that entire line that's trying to turn and squeeze in between 2 cars so they don't have to wait. Just why? That's rude. And to this day, I don't let people like that cut through. I don't care. I don't look at them anymore because I don't want confrontation. Like, back in the day, I would look right at them. I would flick them off. I'd say, fuck you. I'd roll my window down like just a child. Um, yeah, I still have some stuff to work on. And then I also hate that there's just too much traffic where I need to go. Like, I make sure to take routes that don't have that much traffic, that are easy to drive. I don't have to make a lot of turns. Um, I like that stuff. I don't like traffic. I don't like rush hour. It's scary. Like, Alicia's hours for ketamine today are 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And so driving her there wasn't bad, but, like, on the way back, there's already, like, traffic because of all this road work, which, oh my God, I hate road work because it's like, where do I go? I just try to follow the person in front of me. Um, and then I have to go pick her up and I have to leave at like quarter after 4, and that's when everybody is trying to leave Syracuse. And I hate it. I used to laugh at them because, like, when they were leaving at the end of the day, I used to be driving into Syracuse coming from like a half hour away, like, haha, fuckers. My God. And so, like, I don't like the traffic. I don't like people don't know how to drive properly, and then it's like when you get that big trucks in front of you and you can't even see past the truck, I really don't like that because I can't be prepared for, like, I just wanna see the road in front of me as much as possible. There's just so much that makes me nervous about driving. I always wonder if I'll have a breakdown, even though I know I take care of my cars now. It's like I can't shake this PTSD. I broke down so many times in the military, so many times. I just was like, "Meow," broke down, meow, broke down, meow, broke down, meow, broke down. And I rationally know it's because I didn't take care of my cars. And I rationally know that I do now. And if it breaks down, it breaks down. I can figure it out. I'm older now. I have resources. I have information about life in some aspects. And so, but I still always have that in the back of my mind, like, oh, if I break down, and, like, I come prepared. I have water, I have a snack, I have gum, I make sure my phone's charged. I bring, like, a little clove cigarette to smoke if, like, I have to wait for people to come pick me up. I have stuff to occupy me, if I do break down, and I don't think that'll ever change. I'm just always prepared for one to happen. Um, and I don't like driving to places I don't know, like I said, and I don't like driving long distances to places I don't know either. So, I think that about sums up my relationship with driving. All I can say is, like, since I haven't worked for people in, like, several years, I have, like, probably, I don't know, like, 70% less anxiety about driving than I used to. because I really don't have to drive that much anymore. And when I do, I'm just going across the street to the store or like down the road to the grocery store or just out for a drive using roads that I know where they go to. Like, and thank goodness for Google Maps. Fuck, man. It was hard to read MapQuest. Like, even with the directions, like the step by step directions, I really appreciated those. But, like, when you're the only one driving back in the day trying to, like, fucking maps? Like, what was up with that? How do people drive with maps? Like, you're driving and you're trying to direct where you're going on a piece of fucking paper that you have to squint at and then try not to hit people? Like, oh, no. No, no, no. Thank goodness that there's, like, technology now. Because if there wasn't, I really don't think I'd have a car. I wouldn't be driving. I'd be Ubering it everywhere. So that's that. Um, Yeah, and like those people that and I'm not being disrespectful whatsoever. Please don't take this the wrong way. But like when you get older and it's getting harder to drive because you're having a hard time with like your sight and like just the regret the like just what happens when you get older and like I've known older people that are like Janice's mother. She died a few years ago and she was like, I don't want to stop driving because I get it. It's like that's your independence and if you have to admit that you can't drive after being able to drive for decades, that sucks. I can only imagine, like, how shitty that must feel. And, she would fight it and fight it and fight it until she finally gave in to Janice and was like, "Okay, fine, I won't drive anymore." You know what I would do? I am ready to just say, "Take me anywhere. I will not drive anymore. I'm not gonna fight it." If Alicia's like, "I don't think that, like, you're too good to drive," or whatever, I'd be like, "Okay, alright, just take me around. Make sure I got some transportation. I'm good not driving. That's okay." Um, that's all I really want to say about that. I hope this was relatable. Um, if there's anybody out there wondering if like I would ever consider public transportation, the answer to that is no. Nope, not doing it. I was doing some of that in the military, like not that I needed it, but like, they would like cart you places on buses and shit. No fucking thank you. Nope. People smell that just gross, stinky air with no windows on like trains and buses and whatever, and you have to pay attention to like where am I supposed to get off? I don't fucking know. I would never know where am I supposed to get off at. Like, where's this bus going? Like bus schedules? No. I used to be a counselor and I would have clients come in and show me their schedules and be like, do you know how to understand this? I'd be like, "No, can you go see the person upstairs?" Because I don't read maps, I don't know schedules, like, I don't get that shit. Um, I would rather walk 50 miles barefoot than take a bus. That's the truth. Okay. Please, can you email me if this is relatable, if, like, you feel the same way? Um, if you have any suggestions on how to make my driving experience better, I would greatly appreciate those. And thank you for listening, and goodbye.